It's about my 10th cup of coffee today, I think. Been a bit of a long weekend, must admit. Anyway, it's Monday. Thought I'd do a little video for you guys on motivation part 2. My top 5 tips on how I keep myself motivated. Because I get a few compliments from some people saying like, oh, how do you manage to keep doing all your content and stuff like that? And basically I've kind of narrowed it down into like 5 like kind of philosophies that I think about when I'm like trying to keep myself, in the hard working kind of mindset. But anyway, it all starts with like, are you actually passionate about your work and what you're doing? Because if you're not, then it's just going to be impossible. So you need to really make sure that it's something you're passionate about before you even get started with the different philosophies on how to maintain like a hard working kind of ethic. Anyway, let's get into it. So number 1, the first and foremost, most important thing is accountability. And basically what this means is setting yourself up so that you have to do it, otherwise there's kind of like consequences. So for example, I categorize it into 2 things, like either having other people hold you accountable or by like using money or investing money so that you make yourself like have to do something basically. So with money it's like, you could do some online courses, or you could like invest in some really good equipment that you like know that you're going to have to use because you spent so much money on it. But just by like putting money into your passion, you're not only going to help like by gaining knowledge or extra software or hardware that could be useful to you, but it's also going to benefit you because you've invested more of your money into it. So you're more invested basically. You know what I mean? The other thing is with people, it's having other people depend on your results. So for example, if you get yourself into a position where you're working with record labels or with other producers or musicians, for example, and you have like a set deadline, like it makes it so you have to really achieve that deadline. But if you're not at that stage where you have like official deadlines from labels or something, what's to say you can't just make some yourself? Like I do this all the time. I make my own schedule, my own deadlines, and I basically do it for myself because I know that if I'd fail to do it, I'm just going to feel like I'm a failure in my own eyes. But just make your own deadlines if you haven't got anyone else making them for you, and just really, really make sure you stick to them. And you don't have to make them like super short and hard, but make them realistic, then you can actually stick to them, and then at least you are still progressing, even if it's not like at a super fast rate. You're still going to be like progressing, which is the main thing. The next kind of mindset shift that I try to adopt is like to do with perspective, and it's to do with like just thinking about your long-term goals and trying to reach those, and just doing like a little bit more each day that gets you closer to that like 5-year goal or that 10-year goal, for example. Like if you think of things too much in the short term, then you feel rushed, and then you can lose motivation if you don't get the results that you want quick enough. So it's definitely better to always try and think in the long term and just try and get like 1% better every day. My third tip is kind of a weird one, but it's to do with selflessness and doing stuff for other people just kind of as much as you do it for yourself. So say if you have a lot of ambition, you want to become the best musician or producer that you want to be, that you can possibly be, that's a great mentality to have. But also with that, you have to balance it out with like, doing something for other people, helping other people improve. For example, like, taking the time to give other people feedback or listen to their music, or just generally out and about in your general day, just like being kind to strangers. Sounds a bit cliche and a bit cringy, but I really try to do this a lot because it really helps me with like my mood and my mentality. And if I do this a lot, then I just feel a lot more energy and motivation for kind of life in general, and that kind of translates over to my work in the end. So definitely like a bit of selflessness thrown in there with chasing your own ambitions is definitely the way forward. Another concept is always realigning yourself with why you're doing what you're doing, and taking the time to appreciate like what you're actually doing, and making sure that you love it and enjoy it. Take some time to think about what really inspired you and got you passionate about, for example, music in the first place. And if you're not feeling motivated, I'll try and remember those times when I first really got into it, whether it was through a certain song or something. And shout out to my patron Ho Chi Win, who suggested this as well. Just like listen to some of your favourite music that really got you into music to begin with. Go and take a walk, just like no phone or whatever. Just go and have a nice casual stroll, listen to your favourite tunes, and then by doing that, I'm sure you'll get a bit more motivation to carry on with your work, be that music or producing or whatever. And finally, the last topic is also making sure you're practicing a lot of self-love. So you don't always have to be producing and grinding hard or making music to, you've got to take breaks basically. And even if you're taking a break, you might feel like you're not being productive, but if you're doing things that are gonna like improve like your body, for example, like exercising and nutrition, or stuff that's going to improve your soul, like doing stuff you really love, like hanging out with people that really make you feel good and laughing and doing like cool experiences and stuff like that. In a sense, that's still being productive because you're kind of boosting your own inner ecosystem, if you will, and that definitely like translates over into your work or your production and music life as well. So even when you're taking breaks, make sure you're doing stuff that's like good for your body, good for your soul, and then you will 100% be even better when you come back into the studio or wherever it may be. So anyway, hope those are helpful tips for you guys. Consider checking out my Patreon if you want in-depth music production tutorials and feedback, and subscribe to the channel if you please, that would be really cool. And until next week guys, take care.